Welcome to the 4thDownPodcast. We're going to jump right into it. We got an exciting day today. A very, very exciting day indeed. Lots to talk about, lots happening in the NFL, including some now big free agents did not get franchise tagged, and trade rumors. More trade rumors on the way out of Max Crosby. Don't know how long the show is going to be. We usually try to keep it pretty short too. But let's jump in probably with one of the biggest stories. Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP, will not be franchise tagged, meaning he will probably most likely be a free agent, which is kind of wild. If anyone can leave a comment down below, when was the last time a Super Bowl MVP was not franchise tagged and let go the following season? Let me know. It's very interesting because Kenneth Walker, to me, he's kind of like a prime Le'Veon Bell. He's patient, he's fast, and he is going to get a new home this offseason. Some may say he'll probably go to the Giants. Some may say he'll probably go to, I don't know, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's just surprising that Kenneth Walker, unless they get a long-term deal, not just because they're not franchise tag doesn't mean it's the end of the world. They could get a long-term deal, but the Giants make sense, and a couple other teams probably maybe a couple other teams out there will get him. But that's probably one of the biggest stories of the day is Kenneth Walker being not franchise tag, meaning he'll be a free agent once comes Monday, March 9th. So eyes on where he'll go. The Giants are probably the favorites to get him, so we'll keep an eye on that. Speaking of running backs, Breece Hall got franchise tagged today. And he tweeted about, let's get ready to go to work and don't bet on me like that. So there was talk about him not being franchise tagged and just going to let him go or even being traded before this whole offseason started. So they are just going to keep him around and maybe sign him to a nice, decent long-term deal. Trey Hendrickson did not get the franchise tag. There's been a lot of talks with him in the last 2 seasons about trade, being released. And it seems like he's finally going to be released and then play for a new team. A lot of teams are going to be jumping on him because he's had a monster season. I think 2 years ago, he had 17.5 sacks not too long ago. So he's definitely going to be called upon when his name is called upon. But again, Trey Hendrickson is on free agents. Now, this one, the next story, is going to be shocking. Jonathan Grenard is talking about being traded. Well, not him talking specifically, but the Vikings were talking about trading him, which was kind of a shocker because didn't they just pay him a lot of money last season? And I know in the NFL, days change, businesses change. But Jonathan Grenard is actually not a bad player, and for the contract he got, I'm surprised they're actually trying to move him. Unless something I don't know, but they're going to ask for a day 2 pick, which could probably be a 3rd-round pick. I think if you're teams that need an edge rusher, I think you should jump on that. That's not a bad price ask for a good edge rusher. So it's just been a wild day in the NFL today. And it goes on and on too. Daniel Jones got tagged. Kyler Murray got released too. We talked about that on the podcast the other day because Arizona's probably going to go after Malik Willis. If they don't get Malik Willis, then they should focus on the draft because there is a couple quarterbacks in the draft that could, get a fresh start to the franchise. If I'm Arizona, like I said, I would go to the draft because the free agency QB market this year is not really that good. Malik Willis, maybe Daniel Jones if he gets released. I think Indy tries to get him. I mean, they did get the transition tag, which I think they can match any offer with any team that tries to get him. But if your best quarterbacks are Daniel Jones and Malik Willis in the free agency world, then you could probably focus on the draft. Daniel Jones and Malik Willis had great seasons too. Not saying anything bad about it. But I want to touch again on the Kenneth Walker one because it's very interesting. Like I said, the guy he balled out this year, and Seattle didn't even really make an attempt to secure him. From what I think, I mean, I haven't really heard any reports or anything about having conversation with him, but it just seemed like they didn't really care. Right? I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not an insider by any means. I'm just some random dude doing podcasts because I enjoy it. I enjoy talking football, but it just seemed to me like there wasn't really much talks about it. Just kind of out the blue saying like, oh, they're not going to franchise tag him. There's not like, oh, they're having conversations. Oh, the conversations are walking off. They're just, you're not getting tagged. Go find a new home. Which, I mean, like I said, I want Green Bay to get him. I love Josh Jacobs, but I want Green Bay to get Kenneth Walker because I think the dude's a beast. No disrespect to Josh Jacobs, that's a whole different story. But, yeah. But somebody will get him. Like I said, the Giants are the favorites to get him. I mean, you could look at Tennessee too. Tennessee Titans could get him too. But yeah, it's just a shock to me that Seattle just let him go. Especially the postseason he had too. Like he had a really incredible postseason. Seattle's like kind of letting some of their players go, huh? Like Rashid Shaheed talks about getting traded. I don't know. I get cap space and all, but again, like I said, same with Kenneth Walker. Not heard any reports about at least making an attempt to talk to them about contract extensions. A little more on the Trey Hendrickson thing too. Like I said, he had 17.5 sacks. I think it was 2 seasons ago. Yeah. 2 seasons ago, he had 17.5 sacks. His name's going to be called upon a lot. A lot of teams need edge rushers. I mean, you look at Tennessee, Washington. The Commanders could try to get him. But his name is going to be on the phone of a lot of GMs next week. Which, again, I've said on my podcast the last few episodes. We are going to be live March 9th. Half an hour before the official free agency negotiation starts. I know it's not official on March 11th, but March 9th they start the negotiations. Deals aren't really finalized until the Wednesday of, which is March 11th at 4 p.m. But March 9th they can start negotiating with players at noon. So we'll be live at 11:30 to break down all the excitements that day. It's going to be a fun day. It's going to be a real fun day, and I mean, Breece Hall's not really a whole lot to touch upon. Just he got franchise tagged, and he's probably going to stay with the Jets. But the last story I want to talk about, too, before we go, and like I said, it's a very short one. We try to keep these videos short because I get it. Like, the first, like, if you're doing like an hour long, I get it. It's a little long. But the last one I'm talking about is the Max Crosby one. Max Crosby is going to be the biggest story of the week. And according to DraftKings, the Chicago Bears are now the favorites to land him. Adam Schefter tweeted, the Max Crosby trade package could be a lot like Micah Parsons, which was a 2 first-round picks and a premier player like Kenny Clark. So Chicago, realistically, if they want to get Max Crosby, it's going to be probably 2 first-round picks and probably DJ Moore for Max Crosby. If you're Chicago, I mean, you were actually a Caleb Williams interception away from the NFC Championship game. Do you take a risk on Max Crosby? I mean, your defense really isn't that bad. Green Bay, we know why they got Micah Parsons. We know why Green Bay got Micah Parsons. And you look at that Packers team after Micah Parsons went down, that defense probably can't stop a Division III football team without Micah Parsons. Chicago, say they get Max Crosby. I mean, I'm not like, I'm just saying, for example, like without Max Crosby, the Bears I think will be fine without Max Crosby. With them, they'll be to that next level, which every team wants to be like that. But do the Bears really need Max Crosby? Like, is it worth getting that Micah Parsons trade package for a guy that you might not really need? I know it sounds like a little nonsense for me, but just think about it. Like, do you want to give up 2 first-round picks? You were 10 yards away from advancing to the NFC title game, which who knows what's going to happen in there. I think Seattle still wins because Seattle was just so dominant. Do you just focus on the draft? And you could get a guy like Grenard. I know in division rivals probably won't happen for a trade, but it's something to think about. It's a lot to put on a guy. It's a lot to put on one guy. Broncos Seahawks traded for Russell Wilson. And surprisingly, in the end, at the time, it didn't really work out for both teams, but in the long picture, it kind of did. Wilson gets cut. Bo Nix gets drafted. Broncos are back to being an elite team. Seattle rebuilds a little bit. Finally gets back to the roots. Wins the Super Bowl. So not all the time does trading for a premier player pays off. It's great if it does. But those are questions you have to think about. And like I said, it's not nonsense talking. Like realistically, like there's some Bears fans that are probably like, well, I don't know if I want a guy for 2 first-round picks and DJ Moore. That's a lot. Well, and that's all we got pretty much for the show. Like I said, it's a wild day in the NFL today. Less than a week till free agency starts. And again, we want to say thank you for listening to the 4th Down Podcast. My name is Alex. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.